Well, what can I say? This video definitely feels like it's a long time coming. I wrote this script several months ago, but unfortunately I've been super busy and I haven't been able to get the video done, let alone record the script. But finally, here we are. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was my most anticipated game of 2024, and boy did I enjoy my time with it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my pursuit of the Platinum Trophy while also giving my 2 cents on the game. I want to start by taking us back to the days of Final Fantasy VII Remake because my desire to get Rebirth's Platinum Trophy all started with that game. It was never my intention to pursue the Platinum Trophy for Remake. At the time, I had even fewer Platinum Trophies than the handful that I currently have. As of the making of this video, I only have 40 Platinum Trophies, including Rebirths, but they're all very special to me. Outside of the original Persona 5, most of the Platinum Trophies that I had when I got remakes were relatively easy Platinums to earn, and even then, the Persona 5 Platinum wasn't really that hard, it was just time consuming. I wasn't big on going after trophies that required playing games on crazy hard difficulties either. Point being, the Final Fantasy VII Remake Platinum was my first Platinum Trophy that I really had to work for. Besides the fact that I absolutely enjoyed playing Final Fantasy VII Remake and wanting to continue to play it, I can't exactly remember what compelled me to go after the Platinum Trophy for that game, but I'm glad that I did. To this day, Final Fantasy VII Remake is still my most satisfying Platinum Trophy because it felt like I had gained a level of mastery with the game in order to get the Platinum Trophy. Along with that, the game never felt like a chore to play despite the difficulty spike during hard mode. So, I vowed that I would go after all the Platinum Trophies for the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. With that being said, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Platinum is probably one of my more difficult and frustrating Platinum Trophies to date, and in my pursuit of it, I almost regretted making that initial vow. Furthermore, as this title states, the game felt like a relentless gauntlet of mini-games and challenges that I had to overcome that took away some of the overall enjoyment that I had for this Platinum Trophy journey. On top of that, this Platinum Trophy comes with somewhat of an asterisk as well, which I'll explain later on in this video. As we all know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the second of 3 games in Square Enix's Final Fantasy VII Remake project. In Remake, the game is a fairly linear experience since it takes place only in Midgar. However, Rebirth is a much more open experience despite remaining linear itself. There are 5 major regions in Rebirth. Each of these regions contain large open areas that can be explored, and they're set up similarly to the way that Ubisoft sets up their open worlds. I hate using that comparison because it feels a little bit reductive, but that's basically how it is. Each region has several towers that have to be activated in order to reveal other points of interest on the map. Some of these points of interest include, but aren't limited to, enemy intel tasks where you have to fight and defeat certain enemies in certain ways along with scanning them. There's also summon intel locations where if you scan them, the summons you earn from Chadley will be stronger when using them in combat. Each region also has a proto-relic storyline. These storylines usually expand the lore and the world building or provide some character development. Those are just a few things that can be found on the map, and in order to get the Platinum Trophy, you have to do everything on the map, sometimes more than once. Throughout this video, I'll take you through the events of the game as I earn each trophy. I wasn't always able to record each trophy as they were earned, but I'll make sure to mention it regardless or even take footage from my hard mode run to indicate where I would have gotten it. I should mention that as I progress through these trophies, I'll also be going over some contextual story beats. Rebirth's ending is spoiled in this video, but I'll try to keep every spoiler as surface level as possible. Regardless, this is your spoiler warning. So join me as I take you on my journey for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's Platinum Trophy. Rebirth opens up with Cloud and Tifa explaining the Nibelheim incident.
Tifa? You're our guide?
I sure am. You can ask anyone around here. I'm the best there is.
You could get hurt.
Not if you remember to do your job, she won't. Come on.
After some character introductions and being instructed to go investigate the Nibelheim Mako reactor, I finally begin my ascent of Mount Nibel. In my first scripted encounter, I earned 2 trophies, Staggered Learning for staggering an enemy, and I Got This for winning a battle. As I progress up the mountain further, Cloud is able to fill up his limit gauge, and upon using said limit gauge, I earned the trophy Break It Down for using my limit break.
This ends here!
We still have a long way to go.
After this fight, I'm rewarded with the Assess Materia, which allows me to scan enemies that I encounter. And although I don't get a trophy for using the Assess Materia, it does allow me to see the enemy's weaknesses, which I'm able to exploit, granting me the Exploitative Practices trophy. As I get closer to the Mako reactor, Sephiroth finally joins the fight, and with him in my party, I'm able to use synergy skills, which rewards me with the Team Player trophy. Upon entering the Mako reactor, I encounter my first major boss fight of the game, during which Cloud is bound by the boss's claws. Using Sephiroth, I cast a fire spell to release Cloud, earning me the Unfettered Friendship trophy. Later on in the same boss fight, I was finally able to use my first synergy ability, which I guess are different than synergy skills, and I'm able to get the No Eye in Synergy trophy.
That was insane.
Chapter 1 closes out with Sephiroth going crazy and destroying Nibelheim. Back in the present, Cloud and Tifa continue to reflect on what happened in their hometown, and I earned the Never Meet Your Heroes trophy for completing Chapter 1. During the first chapter, I was able to get 8 trophies. These mostly consisted of combat trophies that can probably be earned at any point in the game.
You two fight.
No.
We have enough problems as it is. Copy?
Night.
Tomorrow is another day.
With the completion of Chapter 1, the game finally opens up and you can now do things at your leisure. The way I like to play games, especially if I'm going for trophies, I like to do everything that I possibly can in an area before moving on. This way there are fewer cases of having to go back and forth throughout my playthrough. Because of this, I was able to earn a total of 13 trophies during Chapter 2. In Rebirth, there are countless minigames to be played, and the first one you're introduced to when you're finally able to explore Calm is the card game Queen's Blood. The goal in Queen's Blood is to earn the most points in each row, and whoever has the most points in any given row at the end of the game gets their points for that row, while their opponent loses all of their points for that same row. It's definitely a fun game once you get the hang of it. I bring this up because the first trophy that I get in Chapter 2 is New Blood for raising my rank in Queen's Blood. The party is then forced out of Calm and into Rebirth's first region called the Grasslands.
Let's go.
And there it was, the first step on our new journey. You coming? Yeah.
There, I earned my next 2 combat trophies, the first being Weapons 101 for maxing out the proficiency of a weapon, and the second being a Materia World for leveling up an Orb of Materia. Semi-trophy related, but I find a new weapon at the dock where the party realizes that they need a chocobo to get through the swamps. Just an FYI, it is important to find everyone's weapons throughout the game because there is a trophy for maxing out the proficiency of all of the weapons.
Pleasure to see you all again. And welcome to my humble ranch.
Managed to get your truck fixed?
Indeed I did. You must have been my lucky charms. She started up right after you left.
The party then makes their way to Bill's Chocobo Ranch where they are given some information about world intel from Chadley. The party also gets their first regional chocobo, and in the process they find caches by some windmills, rewarding me with the Cashing In trophy. As I mentioned earlier in this video, there are loads of world intel locations in each of Rebirth's regions, and after finding 5 of them, I earned the Intelligence Aid trophy. Do you remember Kyrie from Remake? She complained a lot and didn't like you that much. Well, the first side quest I did in Rebirth was one where I had to help her fix some Mako pipes because Calm was having power issues. I help her with completing this quest, which she undoubtedly takes credit for, but at least I get the trophy entering new markets for completing my first side quest of the game. Also, I guess there was a battle that took place that I didn't record somewhere in between entering new markets and I break for chocobos for repairing 3 chocobo stops, where I used a summon for the first time, earning me the Fledgling Summoner trophy.
I've been dying to see you.
Another trophy that I apparently didn't get any footage for was Expert Excavator for finding treasures with my chocobo, and after that I earned Founder's Bonus for obtaining the Proto-Relic in the Grasslands. To wrap up the last of the miscellaneous trophies that I got in Chapter 2, I earned Director of Regional Intelligence for finding all the world intel in a single region, and You Work For Me Now for defeating a summon and earning its materia.
Got it?
The party then fights a giant snake monster, Cloud has a vision of Sephiroth, and they then move into the mines, therefore completing Chapter 2 and earning the Swampy Situation trophy.
He's here, isn't he?
I don't know.
Well, monsters sure are. No doubt.
Chapter 3 is quick and easy, and with only one trophy to be earned here. You navigate the mines, fight some bosses, leave the mines, and boom, Chapter 3 is done, earning me the Make Mine Back trophy.
Hey, check it out.
In Chapter 4, I earned 2 exploration trophies, first being Intelligence Specialist for gathering world intel at 50 different locations, with the second trophy being Fort Condor Commander for earning the Proto-Relic in Junon. This trophy was when I realized that I was going to have to play quite a few minigames to get the Platinum Trophy for Rebirth. I don't want to go too much into the minigames right now. There's so many of them that they kind of warrant their own section of this video. The party then moves into Upper Junon, where I earned 3 more trophies. The first trophy being 7th Assemble for recruiting all infantry units for the parade, and stealing the show for doing an outstanding performance within this same parade. This sequence is similar to what you had to do at the Honeybee Inn in Remake. Along with that, you have to set up your units in the right formation in order to get the best score, which is the only way to earn this trophy. There are plenty of guides online that will tell you how to set your units up for this parade. This sequence isn't particularly hard, but like it did for me because I have bad hand-eye coordination, it might require you to play through it a couple times to memorize the buttons. It took me maybe 3 or 4 tries to lock it down, so it's best to make a save right before you do this parade. I then beat Roche and closed out Chapter 4 with the President's Commendation Trophy. Chapter 5 is basically a Queen's Blood tournament that you have to win in order to get the Card Royalty Trophy. You don't have to compete in the tournament to progress the story, but in order to get the trophy during the tournament's final round, you'll have to beat this weird anonymous Shinra soldier.
How exhilarating. I may have lost, but that was a good match.
Close, too. You nearly had me.
After the tournament, you'll have another shadowy encounter with Sephiroth and a boss fight. This concludes Chapter 5, which earns me the Cryptic Cameo Trophy.
Cloud, don't let her fool you.
The beginning of Chapter 6 has the party arriving in Costa del Sol, where we end up staying at Johnny's Rundown Inn. After getting settled in at the inn, I spent the day acquiring the only real reason to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the bathing suits.
Did you miss us? Cloud? Something wrong?
No, nothing. It's just hot. In the sun. Speaking of which, you guys should probably put on sunscreen.
You might want to go first. That's some sage advice, Mr. Pasty.
The party fights off some Shinra robots, and I earn the Fun in the Sun trophy for completing Chapter 6. Since I've been doing as much as I can when I can during this first playthrough of the story, Chapter 6 is where I start seeing diminishing returns in the number of trophies that I earn.
Think this through. Are you absolutely 100% certain you don't want me around to save your butts?
You can come with.
I knew you'd say that. Well, seeing as you're so desperate, I guess I'll oblige ya.
Chapter 7 starts us off with Yuffie joining the party, and after doing a couple side quests in the Coral region, including doing more of these stupid gym challenges, we make our way up Mount Coral. Throughout the course of this chapter, you investigate an old destroyed Mako reactor, which now has a giant fish-type creature in it called a weapon, and you learn that these weapons only appear when there's a disturbance within the life stream, usually indicating that the planet is in trouble. We also learn more about Barrett's past and why he despises Shinra so much. The chapter concludes with the party taking a gondola up to the Gold Saucer, and as we ride up, we earn the Price of Progress trophy for completing Chapter 7.
Listen, I don't want your sympathy or your pity. You can keep all of that nonsense. I did what I did, and I can live with it.
Right. We gotta shake this off. We're about to rock up to the funnest place ever, the Gold Saucer.
Huh?
So turn those frowns upside down.
The beginning of Chapter 8 has the party arriving at the Gold Saucer, which in my opinion is the best chapter opening in the entire game. I'm a big fan of ladder moments in these long games because even though the characters are on this large, grand adventure to save the world, they deserve to have a break every once in a while and let loose. During this dance number where Yuffie, Tifa, and Aerith just so happen to know all the choreography to, we're introduced to who would eventually become our last party member in Rebirth, Cait Sith.
Alright everyone, let's get this party started!
Throughout the course of Chapter 8, we explore the Gold Saucer, play more minigames, and investigate a mysterious man with a gun for a hand. Sounds familiar, right? Well, it turns out to be Barrett's old friend Dyne, who's become a bit messed in the head. In the end, Barrett is forced to confront Dyne, and after defeating him in a Shinra mech, the party escapes in a car and into the desert, completing Chapter 8 and earning the Worth the Wait trophy in the process.
Hang on!
Now that we're in Chapter 9, I feel like it's finally appropriate to talk about all of the minigames and these 4 particular trophies. 1-star startup, 3-star hotel, 5-star hotel, and 7-star hotel. In order to get these trophies, you have to donate 10 items, 30 items, 60 items, and all items to Johnny's Hotel, with there being 88 items in total. And in order to earn these items, you basically have to do everything that this game has to offer. This ranges from doing all of Chadley's VR challenges, completing all the Musclehead Coliseum challenges, to completing all of the mini-games. And there's a lot of mini-games. Let's review what they are. We've got Hustle to Chocobo, Moogle Mischief, Dolphin Show, Fort Condor, Jump Frog, Pirates Rampage, Run Wild, Card Carnival, Wheelie Rendezvous, Crunch Off, the Chocobo races, and there's like 20 of them, give or take, Galactic Saviors, the G-Bike minigame, Desert Rush, 3D Brawler, all of the Queen's Blood challenges and the Gold Saucer, Cactar Crush, Glide to Chocobo, and finally Gears and Gambits. These are all necessary for the Platinum, and some of them are no joke. Crap.
You got her!
There's also the piano minigame that requires you to get an A grade for each song, which is its own trophy, and regular Queen's Blood games, with there being 20 or so throughout Rebirth. There are a few other one-off minigames that have their own trophies associated with them that you have to do as part of the story, such as the Parade in Chapter 4 and Loveless in Chapter 12. However, all of the minigames that I have previously mentioned all have to be played multiple times, and you have to earn the highest tiered rewards in each of the minigames' respective normal and hard modes to earn the items needed for Johnny's Hotel. Furthermore, when it comes to the hotel trophies, there are many other challenges that have to be done outside of the minigames to earn items, such as stealing this Tonberry King's pristine crown.
Do me proud!
There are many websites that have detailed lists of what items are needed for Johnny's Hotel and how to get them. Anyway, by the time I reached Chapter 9 and went back to check in with Johnny, I had earned enough items to get the 1-star startup and the 3-star hotel trophies, respectively. Chapter 9 is definitely one of the potentially longer chapters in Rebirth. The Coral region is more or less split into 2 parts. You have the beach part with Costa del Sol from chapters 6 and 7, and you have the desert part with the Gold Saucer, which becomes available for exploration at the start of Chapter 9. On top of that, you can now go to the Gongaga region. You can easily spend another 10 or so hours in the Coral region to do cleanup, and then move to Gongaga that has another 10 or so hours of stuff to do there as well. As I've said many times, it's all stuff that has to be completed at one point or another to get the Platinum Trophy. And because I like to do cleanup as I go, I was in Chapter 9 for a while.
Passing through. You.
What?
After doing what I could do in Coral, I headed to the Gongaga region to meet Sisei, who asks us to go investigate another abandoned Mako reactor after an explosion there. I'm starting to see a pattern with these Shinra Mako reactors. At the reactor, we fight a big monster as the boys and Scarlet as the girls. After defeating both of these bosses, Cloud goes crazy again and attacks Tifa, who avoids his sword by falling into the reactor and down into the lifestream. After having visions of her past in the livestream and being rescued, Tifa speaks with Cloud, who's expressing concern that he's experiencing what is called degradation that all soldiers go through after a while. Tifa tells Cloud that she'll see to it that it doesn't happen to him.
Soldier cells degrade. I think that's what's happening to me. That I'm falling apart.
That's not going to happen to you. You saved me before. Now it's my turn.
The gang then goes into the wilderness of Gongaga, where I earn another trophy called Honorary Turk for getting the Proto-Relic in the Gongaga region. From there, we head over to the runway where we meet Sid, who flies us to Cosmo Canyon.
President
Sid.
and pilot of Bronco Airlines, Sid Highwind. Pleasure having you aboard.
This concludes Chapter 9, earning me the Crying Out trophy. Chapter 10 starts with us arriving in Cosmo Canyon, where we learn about Red 13's past and play one of my least favorite minigames, Glide to Chocobo. Throughout this chapter, we see several incredible world building and character development scenes, including the planetology scene.
Wow.
This is only the beginning.
The shooting star.
Tifa talking about her experience in the live stream.
I fell into the life stream. I don't have words to describe it, except beautiful, maybe? It was a lot to take in. Feelings of kindness washed over me. Long-forgotten memories came flooding back. It was a warm, comforting place.
And the River of Lights.
So, I'm an ancient. As in, a steward of the planet. One of those ancients.
Of course, we can't forget about the scene where Red 13 learns the truth about his father.
Don't worry. We will.
You failed this trial, my boy. Continue your training and try again. Are you up to the task, Nanaki?
You bet I am. After all. I am Nanaki, Watcher of Cosmo Canyon, and son of Seto, Protector of our Vale.
This is easily one of my favorite scenes in the entire game. We also learn about the Black Materia, and that both the Gi and Sephiroth are after it, with it being held at a temple where the ancients used to pray. Cait Sith says that he can access the information pertaining to the temple's location, but they'd have to go to Nibelheim to get it. The party heads back to Sid and off to Nibelheim. This closes out Chapter 10, earning me the Stars Fell From My Eyes trophy.
Cloud, look at this. It's brand new. They rebuilt the whole village.
Cloud and the gang arrive in Nibelheim at the start of Chapter 11 and discover that the town was completely rebuilt to look exactly the same way it did prior to Sephiroth's rampage, with it now being a medical facility to treat Mako poisoning and soldier degradation. Cloud, Tifa, and Yuffie head up to the Mako reactor to get a keycard so that way Cait Sith can gain access to Shinra Manor. Cloud is able to send this keycard to Cait Sith, who has Aerith and Barret accompany him into the Manor, leaving Red 13 behind in Nibelheim. Cait Sith is the party leader at this point, and throughout the Shinra Manor portion of the game, you'll frequently have times where Cait Sith is completely by himself. This sequence was interesting because at the time of Rebirth's release, there was a solid consensus online that this is one of the worst parts of the game, and I think this had to do with the lack of understanding of how Cait Sith works in combat. At the very least, that's how it felt during my first playthrough of Rebirth. Cait Sith can be a challenging character to use, therefore creating a rather intense learning curve for some players. This is mostly due to the fact that a majority of Cait's moveset is also tied to his Moogle, which you have to summon, which also consumes an ATB charge. Shinra Manor is the first time most players will use Cait Sith in a significant way, and like I mentioned, at times you have to run around as him completely solo. So, you're forced into learning how to use him very fast. However, once you get Cait Sith down, he packs quite a punch.
That's a wee stroke of luck. Oh, down we go.
I didn't fully appreciate Cait Sith until my hard mode run, which is what you're seeing now, and did his Chadley VR challenge. With the help from some guides and attempting his VR challenge several times, I was able to understand his mechanics enough to fairly breeze through the Shinra Manor stuff on hard mode. After fighting some bosses, along with more or less recruiting Vincent Valentine to the team, the group heads back to the Gold Saucer to find one more piece of the puzzle to gain access to the Temple of the Ancients. Chapter 11 ends with me earning the You're Not Murasaki trophy.
You said that Sephiroth is your foe. I have a history with him. Unfinished business.
Here we are at the beginning of Chapter 12. During my hard mode run of Rebirth, I dubbed my time in Chapter 12 as Chapter 12 Cleanup, because that's a majority of what I did in this chapter. Cleanup. This is due to the fact that the point of no return more or less starts at the beginning of Chapter 13. Not including the chapter completion trophy, I earned 10 trophies during my Chapter 12 cleanup. I'll go through them the best that I can. First, we'll start with the activities that need to be completed in the open world. These included earning the Gambit Paid Off, Professional Handler, and Cactar Crusher trophies for getting the last of the Proto-Relics in the Cosmo Canyon, Nebel, and Coral regions respectively. I highly recommend doing the Proto-Relics in the Cosmo Canyon and Nebel regions because there's some really great world building attached to both of them. Finally, to wrap up the open world trophies, I also earned Piano Virtuoso for getting A rank while playing the 6 piano songs, Moogle Lover for raising my Moogle Emporium rank, and 5-Star Hotel for delivering 60 items to Johnny. Throughout the course of my first playthrough of Rebirth, I was completing every side quest as they became available, with several more becoming available at the start of Chapter 12. While in the process of completing all side quests, I earned Hall of Famer for completing all Chocobo races. You have to complete all races as part of a side quest. Upon completing all side quests in every region, one more quest becomes available in the Gold Saucer called Can't Stop, Won't Stop. This side quest requires you to get the highest scores in all of the various minigames within the Gold Saucer, along with completing several Musclehead Coliseum, Queen's Blood, and 3D Brawler challenges. After completing Can't Stop, Won't Stop, I earned the My Job Here Is Done trophy for completing all the side quests in the game. This also unlocks Sephiroth in the 3D Brawler minigame, and after beating him, I earned the Polygonal Prizefighter trophy. Holy shit, that was a lot of trophies to go over, and we're not even done with Chapter 12 just yet. The gang returns to the Gold Saucer where we perform in a play called Loveless. During the play, it's important to get as close to a perfect score as you can so you can get an S rank in the performance. Upon earning said S rank in Loveless, I was granted the critically acclaimed trophy. The chapter wraps up with the Turk boss fight, followed by another challenging fight with Rufus Shinra and Cait Sith's betrayal of the group. The party then decides to follow the Turks in order to intercept them at the Temple of the Ancients. The chapter closes with the group returning to the Highwind, earning me the Hearts Out, Dukes Up trophy for completing Chapter 12. Before we officially start Chapter 13, there are 2 more trophies to get. Throughout this lengthy video, I've been talking about Proto-Relic trophies, which are earned by completing many tasks associated with world intel for Chadley. As I've collected these Proto-Relics, I've also engaged in many fights with Gilgamesh because these Proto-Relics are pieces of his armor. Furthermore, as I've been collecting world intel, special materia has also become available through Chadley, and I'll go over more of that in a little bit here. With the Highwind now as a boat, you can navigate the water to go fight some more special bosses, which I believe are required to get more items for Johnny. While navigating the waters, you also collect Pirate Jetsam, which is an item used for crafting some special items, which I'll also go over in a little bit here. Most importantly, though, it's now time to go confront Gilgamesh for the last time. The party gets to his island where you have to go fight all of the summons again before facing Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is challenging, but if you have resist materia to repel being turned into a frog and some good fire materia, he'll go down pretty easily, and you'll earn the Bladesman of Legend trophy.
I got this.
After you defeat Gilgamesh, you'll be greeted by Chadley, who will congratulate you on completing all of the world intel, and the last of the materia that you can buy from him will now be available, which grants me the Materia Completionist trophy. Despite being in Chapter 13 during all of this Gilgamesh stuff, we are now ready to officially start and finish the final chapters of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The party arrives at the Temple of the Ancients, and throughout this chapter, the party fights their way through multiple bosses along with being split up for a time and then reuniting. They also undergo trials that will grant them further access to different parts of the temple.
I'm back! Just in the nick of time!
Cait Sith comes back, gets crushed, then comes back again, and Sephiroth also appears. So, look, because we're nearing the end of the game, naturally a lot of story stuff happens here, and a lot of it is too crazy to type out because it deals with multiple realities and timelines. And despite the fact that I believe that Square Enix is doing a good job with handling the multiple realities, it doesn't change the fact that trying to explain it all in this video would be too difficult. So, I'm not going to. Anyway, the chapter ends with the group heading off to the Forgotten Capital. This earns me with the I'm Here For You trophy for completing Chapter 13.
The grand metropolis, where the ancients once gathered to pray, thought lost to time. Until today.
This is it, right?
You know, I think it is. Yeah, Gramps told me all about it when I was growing up. He called it the Forgotten Capital.
Chapter 14 begins with that big moment that's been a huge part of gaming history since the 90s, and that's Aerith, Cloud, Sephiroth, and the Forgotten Capital. In the now infamous moment where Sephiroth descends with his sword aimed at Aerith, we see a version of Cloud stopping Sephiroth and a version of Sephiroth killing Aerith. As worlds collide and characters coming over from said worlds, the party begins their final boss rush fighting many versions of Genova and then again with Sephiroth, all culminating with the final showdown between Cloud, Aerith, and Sephiroth.
All right. Nothing personal.
With Sephiroth now defeated, the final moments of the game show Cloud, who can see Aerith, and the rest of the group who can't, departing for the north, leaving a version of Aerith behind to find her own way to stop Sephiroth and the impending chaos to come.
I'll stop the meteor. And I'll leave the rest to you. Good luck.
Aerith, I will stop Sephiroth. Trust me.
You promise?
Promise.
The final chapter, Chapter 14, concludes earning me the Confluence of Worlds trophy. Although my first playthrough is now completed, there are a few more trophies that I wanted to get out of the way. That same night after beating the game, I also earned the following trophies. Grinded Out for reaching level 70 with all characters, Well-Rounded for mastering all the weapons' abilities and limit breaks, and Staggering Success for getting 300% or more damage on a staggered enemy. I started playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on March 11th, 2024, and concluded my first playthrough on March 31st, 2024. During this first playthrough and a few more hours after that while in Chapter Select, I earned a total of 56 out of 60 trophies that are needed for the 61st and Platinum Trophy. I wouldn't earn my next trophy until 6 months later on September 27th, 2024. Before we can get to that, let's get things ready for hard mode. Completing hard mode on all chapters is a trophy in of itself, and if you want hard mode to be somewhat of a breeze, I'd highly recommend using Chapter Select to prep for it. So here's a list of things that you should do prior to starting your hard mode run, along with some things to do while actually in the hard mode run itself. Take some time before your hard mode run to max out all of your materia. Ones that should definitely be focused on are HP and MP Absorb, Swift Cast, Magic Up, Speed Up, Magic Efficiency, and Enemy Intel Materia. If you've done things similarly to what I have done, by the end of your first playthrough you should have been able to acquire all of Chadley's purchasable materia, which are all important. I did my materia grind late in my hard mode run, and it took me about 10 hours or so to get everything I needed completely maxed out. This is something that I definitely wish that I had done prior to hard mode because it felt like such a slog when all I wanted to do was finish up hard mode. There are many videos on YouTube that offer great tips and AP farming spots to get your materia leveled up fast. Another thing to be aware of, some of the materia that you'll need are locked behind some of the brutal and legendary VR challenges. So you'll have to do some additional materia grinding later on regardless. Which leads me to the next thing, and it's important that you handle your materia before this. Complete up through the Rulers of the Outer World VR challenge and all of the solo character VR challenges. This will allow you to get some manuscripts to improve your weapons along with the God of Damarung, which will give you a full limit break at the start of every battle. I did these when I got to Chapter 11 in hard mode, but in hindsight I wish that I had done them earlier, specifically prior to the start of my hard mode run. There are plenty of guides on these as well. Transmute all items including tons of cushions for the chocobo stops, along with 6 expeditionary medals, so that way there's one for each character. Furthermore, when it comes to transmuting the Genji armor, which requires the pirate jetsam that I talked about, prioritize the Genji gloves, which will allow your magic attacks to exceed the 9,999 damage limit. Also be aware that the Genji gloves are necessary for Rulers of the Outer Worlds. Complete all Musclehead Coliseum challenges at the difficulty of your choice. As an optional bonus, something that I recommend that you do during your hard mode run is for you to redo all side quests and regional enemy intel bosses. Doing these will reward you with manuscripts that will increase your weapon's damage output. Finally, don't be afraid or ashamed for using guides throughout your hard mode run. The difficulty levels for some of these bosses were seriously cranked up, and the legendary and brutal challenges are appropriately named. If I hadn't had help from the internet, I don't think I would have gotten the Platinum Trophy for Rebirth. Now that these tips are out of the way, let's talk about how hard mode works. The biggest thing about hard mode is that you can't use items. That means no potions, no Phoenix Downs, no elixirs, no nothing. This also means that if you run low on HP, and depending on where you are, you'll have to use MP to heal yourself, and because you can't use items, you can't replenish your MP. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to this. You'll get your MP and HP back at the start of every chapter. Benches will recover your HP, but not your MP like they do on normal difficulty. The biggest thing that'll take the pressure off, and why it's important to be able to craft lots of cushions, resting at a chocobo stop with a cushion will recover all of your HP and MP. Just remember you won't find these stops during corridored chapters and sections of the game. This includes Chapter 1, Chapter 3, the hike up to the Coral Reactor, the various times you're confined to the Gold Saucer, Red 13's trial, the hike up to the Nibelheim Reactor, Shinra Manor, Chapter 13, and Chapter 14. Don't worry though, there's loads of regular benches so you'll be able to at least get your health back. Also, the enemies are more aggressive, hit harder, and some of their movesets change. When it came to my hard mode run, I really wanted to stream it, but streaming by myself is boring, so I recruited my channel partner Casey to sit in on the streams with me.
For a moment there, it felt like we were friends.
Well, you were friends.
You were.
You were friends, and then of course,
and then you betrayed them. That's what happens when friends betray friends.
These streams would occur at least once every weekend and would have run times ranging between 2 to 4 hours depending on when a good stopping point would occur. However, due to how long it was taking, we eventually went to streaming both weekend nights. My hard mode journey would begin on May 19th, 2024. Here are a few of the challenges I met along the way. Fighting these plant-like things while trying to collect flowers. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, that was definitely better. I mean, you almost got them down.
The Mithril Golem. Oh, come on. I'm tired of that.
Avalanche will live on.
The Gigatrice.
Sorry. Should have paid more attention.
That's... I lost, like... Ugh. The Crimson Mare. What? What the hell? Ginatok. Ah. Rufus Shinra.
That's it. No holding back. So much for being a mercenary.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm gonna do this off stream tomorrow. I'll save it. I'm done. I can't. Oh god. I'm done.
No worries, dude.
I can't do this right now. Like, this is... It was around the time I got back to Chapter 10 in hard mode when I returned to the Musclehead Coliseum to finish out the challenges there. So, after about 6 months of streaming on weekends, was when I finally earned my next trophy for completing all of the Musclehead challenges called Are You Not Entertained?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
It was also around this time when I realized that I needed to max out all of my materia, so I would spend a week off stream doing just that. Upon entering Chapter 11, I realized that I needed the God of Damarung, which, as I mentioned earlier, the wearer will get a full limit gauge at the start of every battle. This would start another off-stream challenge and probably the hardest part of this Platinum experience, and that was getting through the rest of Chadley's brutal and legendary challenges. I would proceed to spend a week or so getting through these things. Cait, Sith, and Cloud's challenges were the hardest among the solo challenges. And what you're seeing here is Rulers of the Outer World, where you have to fight all of the summons, Gilgamesh, and Virtual Sephiroth in order to complete. However, this one isn't too bad with the Yuffie Brumal form spam. This leads me to the challenges Bonds of Friendship and To Be a Hero. I tried both of these countless times to no avail, and I was starting to get frustrated because it was about the time when I really wanted to get this Platinum trophy done, and I didn't want to let these two things be what prevented me from getting it. So this is where the asterisk thing that I mentioned at the beginning of this video comes into play. I went to Reddit to ask for some help through GameShare to get these two challenges completed. I had some comments saying that getting help would diminish the value of the Platinum, but I didn't necessarily view it that way. Up until this point, and even if I got some technique ideas through guides, I was able to execute everything else on my own. So, frankly, getting help for two things while completing 95% of the rest of the game on my own wasn't going to really bother me or diminish the value of the Platinum trophy. With that said, I was able to get some help that same night after I made the post, and at 3:55 a.m. on October 8th, 2024, I unlocked the virtually renowned trophy for completing all of Chadley's combat simulations.
All done.
I know that I could have easily lied and said that I did these two challenges on my own, but my goal is to be honest when making these videos. With these challenges out of the way, the Platinum might as well have been within my grasp. I finished out Chapter 11 and made my way back to the Gold Saucer.
Another loner. As if one wasn't enough of a pain in my ass.
Yeah, one's more than enough. You mean me?
Something that I haven't talked about in a while are Johnny's Hotel items. When you're able to obtain these items, you can go back to Johnny's Hotel to see them all along the wall. You can also open up a list to see which ones you've gotten while also being able to see vague descriptions of what's remaining. So, when I returned to Johnny's Hotel at the start of Chapter 12, I had one more task remaining. The item was Best Actress Yuffie. To get this, Yuffie would need to be your date at the Gold Saucer and also play the role of Rosa in Loveless during Chapter 12. And you must once again get an S rank during the performance. To make sure Yuffie is your date, you'll have to go into your additional settings to have her selected to play the part to ensure that you get it. Between my two playthroughs, I was able to get Best Actress Tifa, Aerith, and Yuffie. I should state that it's possible for some people to have to do Loveless 3 times with each girl being selected as your Chapter 12 date, since most guides say that you have to do it that way. I'm unclear as to how I got both Aerith and Tifa Best Actress during my first playthrough. If anyone knows, please let me know in the comments. With Loveless now out of the way, I can return to Johnny's Hotel for the last of the trophies there. But before that, I have to fight Rufus Shinra again. This dude is straight up annoying. I ended up giving up on stream and decided to fight him off stream. I was able to defeat him the next morning.
Oh, well, that's just cheating.
Yeah, don't worry. It's pretty quick.
And yet here you are. Really though, it's past time I muzzled you. Good luck. All barks, still no bite.
Not bad, Mr. President. But you'll never be a soldier.
Ooh, burn.
Enough of this farce.
It's now time for the hard mode finale. Or is it? It was my intention to make the final chapters of hard mode into this awesome 2-night finale while streaming, but things didn't go as I expected. I'll explain when we get there. Now, let's finish this up. With the gang now ready to head to the Temple of the Ancients, I first had to make a quick stop at Johnny's Hotel. I walked up to Johnny, and this happened.
3, 4.
It's only a matter of time till we're certified as a 7-star hotel. And I'll always remember that you're the guy who helped me turn that dream into a reality. Yeah! Thank you so much, bro, for everything! Thank you so much, bro, for everything!
Okay, that was pretty good.
Thank you so much, bro, for everything.
And there is 7-star hotel. All right. I have now earned the trophy 7-star hotel for donating all 88 items to Johnny's Hotel. I now proceed through chapter 13, which wasn't too bad. However, I wasn't able to finish chapter 13 that first night because, as it turns out, I was starting caffeine withdrawal because I would later find out that the coffee that I drank that morning was half-calf. I know that's super random, but it's simply part of this story. Now, at long last, we've reached the final hard mode chapter, chapter 14. Unfortunately, due to internet issues, I couldn't stream that night. So, my intention was to record the final chapter and add parts of it to what would eventually become this video. This is why the final stream is not on my YouTube channel. With that explanation out of the way, let's continue. I once again fight through an onslaught of Jenova and Sephiroth fights and their multiple phases. I arrive at Cloud and Aerith versus Sephiroth, and I realize that I'm unable to adjust materia at this time. See, occasionally if there's multiple bosses in a row, the game will give you the option to go to the menu after a cutscene by pressing the square button, which would allow you to reset your materia before the boss. However, this was not one of those times, and I would later find out that the only time in which you could change your materia was during the transition from the last phase of Jenova and the first phase of Sephiroth. Shit. I have nothing on Aerith. I have nothing on her.
You gotta be
I fucked up.
He still ain't dead.
God damn it. Fuck.
There you are.
Sephiroth! Casey, tell Brent that sounds like quitter talk and we're not damn for it.
Hell no, we're not gonna quit.
I have literally nothing on Aerith. Like, I thought I was gonna be able to update Aerith. I thought I was gonna be able to update her before this. I fucked up really bad. This is really bumming me out. Like, super bumming me out. Needless to say, I was devastated, because at minimum, I would have to restart the entire 4 or 5 phase Sephiroth boss fight. I had this entire plan that once Sephiroth was defeated and the platinum was basically secured, I'd spark up a cigarette and pop open a bottle of champagne to celebrate. But that plan was ruined. It was just after midnight and I was exhausted after all of these boss fights. Another issue too is that it was Sunday night, which meant that I would have to wait a whole nother week to get the platinum trophy, and I was definitely ready to be done. So I made the decision with Casey that I would record getting the platinum trophy the following morning, since I didn't have to work until 1:30 p.m, and I'd stay up until he got home from work so that way he could see the last cutscenes from the game. However, this didn't happen either. I went to bed after shutting off the game, but due to having so much adrenaline pumping through me, I couldn't go to sleep. So I got out of bed, turned on the game, and at 3:06 a.m. on October 21st, 2024, after 237 hours, I earned the 60th trophy for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth called Of Hardy Stock for completing all chapters on hard difficulty, and immediately after that I earned the Planet's Hope, the 61st and Platinum Trophy for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, marking the end of this 8-month journey. So, what are my thoughts on the game as a whole? Despite what some people might think, and you can call me a shill or whatever, I loved my time in Rebirth. Maybe more than I loved my time in Remake, and I'm already thinking about when I'll play both Remake and Rebirth again. I really love long games where you get to accompany great characters on a grand adventure. Rebirth is the second act of this planned trilogy, and in it, you get to see these characters grow in really great ways, which makes the ending all the more tragic. For anybody who's on the fence about this game or didn't like Remake because of some of the story changes, I'd advise you to think of the Remake trilogy as more of a sequel to the OG Final Fantasy VII rather than a replacement. I will admit that I've never played the original in all my years, so I understand that this could invalidate my opinion, but I know the story and I know many people who have played the original who are really liking the Remake series. As for the Platinum Trophy, unfortunately I didn't click with Rebirth's Platinum experience the same way that I did with Remakes. Even though I had to do a lot of things multiple times just to get 9 different dresses, none of the tasks that I needed to get done for Remake's Platinum felt annoying. Except for the pull-ups, and I bet you anything I'll have to do more of these gym things in Remake Part 3. But that's just one thing in Remake. Rebirth had so many things that were annoying that took you out of the primary experience of the game, which is its story. The primary culprit for this was all of the minigames. Games such as the harder versions of Gears and Gambits, Fort Condor, and Cactar Crush really sucked the fun out of Rebirth when I had to do those. What I did enjoy about this experience was hard mode. Hard mode may be challenging, but even during some of the more difficult boss fights, I never felt like I wanted to bash my head against the wall while going through it. Furthermore, I love hard mode because it felt like I was playing it again for the first time due to the challenge that it provided. Alright, let's wrap this up. All in all, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is an incredibly fun game with an annoying Platinum Trophy. It's a game that I'm definitely looking forward to playing again without the Platinum Trophy looming over my head. I want to give a shout out to the Optanoob and Gatabud YouTube channels that provided excellent tips and guides that helped me get through certain areas of the game. I'll link both of those in the description of this video. I also want to thank the 2 anonymous Reddit users who helped me get through the last of the legendary VR challenges. Without their help, I probably wouldn't be making this video. Okay, this video is long enough. It's time for me to sign off. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please consider liking and subscribing. In the meantime, I'll see you all on the next one. Take care.